The war between humans and the Zelari Empire had ended just 6 months ago. The galaxy was still healing. Many cities on both sides were broken. Millions were dead. Trust was gone, but peace had to start somewhere. Captain Elias Drake stood at the base of the tall silver palace in the capital city of Zalarth. Sky was purple, the wind dry, and the guards beside him wore sharp armor made of crystal and steel. They watched him like he was a dangerous animal. Elias adjusted his black coat and stared at the great doors in front of him. "Time to meet the Queen," he muttered. The doors opened slowly. Inside was a long hall with glowing blue lights, carved pillars and floating banners showing the symbol of the Zelari three rings wrapped around a star. At the far end, seated on a tall throne, was Queen Arethel of Zelari. She was young, maybe not even 30 in human years, but her presence was cold and proud. Her skin shimmered like moonlight, her hair was silver, and her long robes flowed like liquid metal. Her eyes sharp, glowing gold locked onto Elias the moment he entered. He walked forward, calm and steady. The room was silent as he reached the marked line on the floor. The Zelari guards expected him to kneel. He didn't. He stood tall. The Queen narrowed her eyes. "Human," she said, her voice clear and commanding. "You stand in the royal court of Zalarth. You will kneel before your queen." Elias took a deep breath. His voice was steady. "With respect, Your Majesty, I don't kneel to anyone, not even my own leaders. I'm here as an equal, not a subject." Gasps filled the hall. The guards tightened their grips. A few moved their hands to their weapons, but Queen Arethel raised. One hand, the room fell silent again. "Bold," she said coldly. "Or foolish." Elias didn't blink. "I came here to help, not to play games. If you want to throw me out, go ahead. But if you want peace, you'll have to talk to me." For a moment, the Queen said nothing. Then slowly, she stood up and walked down the steps of her throne. Her steps were silent. She stopped just a few feet from Elias and looked him over like a scientist studying a strange animal. "You are not what I expected," she said. "I get that a lot," Elias replied. She turned away. "You will stay in the East Wing. Speak to my advisor if you need anything. You'll be summoned again if I decide you're useful." Elias gave a small nod and left. The next day, Elias walked through the outer city ruins. Buildings were broken, power lines down, food lines long. The Zelari people, tall, graceful, once proud, now looked tired and lost. Elias didn't come with an army or even soldiers. He came with engineers, medics, and supplies. His goal wasn't politics. He wanted to help. So he rolled up his sleeves and got to work. When water pumps failed in one district, he fixed them. When a school needed rebuilding, he helped carry bricks. When children cried from hunger, he shared food. Some Zelari watched in silence. Others spit near his feet. But many began to nod slowly, accept his presence, or at least stop fearing him. The Queen heard about it. She was not pleased. 3 days later, Queen Arethel stood in her private garden, staring at a small holoscreen. It showed Elias helping lift a broken beam off a trapped Zelari worker. The humans and Zelari on site were cheering her advisor. Lord Kale stepped forward. "He's gaining favor with the people, my queen." "I see that. He's dangerous." Arethel's eyes narrowed. "He's annoying." Lord Kale said nothing. The Queen clenched her jaw. Why is he doing this? Perhaps he truly means it. Nonsense. Humans don't help without a reason. Still, that night, Arethel couldn't sleep. The next morning, Elias was back in the ruins, helping clear rubble from a collapsed tower. A group of young Zelari engineers worked beside him. One of them, a girl named Sari, smiled. "You don't act like other humans," Elias grinned. "I'm one of a kind," she laughed. "You don't even wear armor? I'm not here to fight." Then, "Why are you here?" He paused. "Because we've done enough damage. Somebody has to help fix it." That afternoon, a messenger arrived. The Queen demanded his presence. This time, Elias was led not to the throne room, but to her private meeting hall. a place with tall windows, moonlight trees, and quiet silence. She stood by the window, looking out at her city. "You don't stop," she said without turning. "You move through my city like you own it." Elias folded his arms. "I thought you wanted peace." "I want peace," she said sharply, "but not at the cost of pride." Elias shrugged.
Yes.
"Then maybe it's not peace you want?" She turned. "Angry now? Why don't you leave me alone, human?" Elias met her gaze. "Because your people need help. And I'm not going to sit in a palace while they suffer." "Then help from the shadows. Stop making them love you." He frowned. "I don't want them to love me. I want them to live." For a moment, the queen didn't speak. "You speak like a hero. I'm not. You act like one." Elias stepped closer. "And you act like someone afraid to admit humans can do good." Her eyes flashed with fury, but not only fury. There was doubt, too. In conflict, she turned away. "You may stay, but watch yourself, Captain Drake." "I always do," he said, then walked out. That night, Arethel sat alone in her chamber. She stared at a screen showing a simple photo. Elias laughing with Zelari children as they painted a wall. She whispered to herself, "Why can't I just hate him?" And she had no answer. The great hall was silent after the ceremony. Thousands of eyes watched as John Rayner slowly bent one knee before Empress Kalira Vaynot in submission. But in respect, it was a new symbol, one no one had expected. Across the galaxy, this moment spread like fire in dry grass. Humans and Zerathi alike talked about it. Peace seemed possible, but peace is never simple. In the days after the ceremony, John stayed by Kalira's side. The council's anger did not disappear. Secret meetings continued in dark rooms. Plans were made to challenge the Empress's rule and her unusual human companion. One night, John overheard whispers in the hallway. "They will strike soon," a guard warned. "The faction wants to remove the human and replace the Empress." John's face grew hard. He knew that fighting was coming. But this time, it was not about weapons or warships. It was a battle of trust and loyalty. Kalira summoned her closest. "Allies, we cannot let fear destroy what we have built," she said. "John is not just a symbol. He is family." John looked at her and felt a strange warmth. For years, he had run from war and politics. Now, he was part of something bigger, something worth fighting for. The next morning, a group of rebels entered. The capital ship. They were armed, moving silently through corridors. John was alerted and met Kalira in the command center. "They want to capture you," he said. "We must stop them." Kalira nodded, her eyes fierce. "We fight together." Battle inside the ship was fierce, but brief. John and Kalira fought side by side, using not only weapons, but their trust in each other. In the end, the rebels were captured. The faction that wanted to divide the Zerathi fell silent. With the danger gone, Kalira and John stood on the ship's bridge. Outside, the stars shone brightly. "Thank you," Kalira said softly. John smiled. "I saved you once. Now, you save us all." Kalira looked at him. "You never had to kneel." "Your strength was in standing tall." John laughed. "Your strength was in coming back." Years later, peace held between the humans and the Zerathi. John became an ambassador, a bridge between two worlds. Kalira's empire grew strong, not through fear, but through respect. Together, they proved that even in the darkest wars, kindness and courage can change the course of history. The Zerathi capital ship moved through the dark space, cutting silently past stars and planets. Inside the ship, tension was thick like a storm ready to break. John Rayner sat in a small room. The walls glowed faint blue, and strange symbols floated. In the air around him, he felt like a prisoner, though no chains bound him. Outside the door, footsteps echoed. Kalira entered, her face serious but calm. "We must talk," she said. John looked up about the council. She nodded. "They want you to kneel publicly?" "To show loyalty." Or else what?" John asked quietly. "They threaten to remove me as Empress, to replace me with someone who will obey them without question." John's eyes narrowed. So they want to break you and me. Kalira sighed. It is a test for both of us. Later that day, Kalira met with her council. John was brought before them. The room was grand and cold, filled with Zarathi nobles and soldiers. The head general stood, voice loud. Empress, the human must kneel. His refusal is a threat too. Our unity. Kalira looked at John. What do you say? John stood tall. I will not kneel. A murmur swept through the room. Then what will you do? The general demanded. I will stand. I will stand as a friend, as an ally. I will not bow to fear or power. Kalira's eyes met his. The council was divided. Some shouted, demanding punishment. Others whispered of peace. That night, Kalira found John alone in the ship's garden. Glowing plants lit their faces softly. I know the council fears you, she said. John smiled sadly. I don't want to be feared. She sat beside him. They want to control me, to force obedience. John looked at the stars through the glass. You don't have to do what they say. Kalira shook her head. If I lose them, I lose thee. Empire, and the peace the first fought for. John reached out. Then fight, but don't lose yourself. She looked at him conflicted. The next day, Kalira announced a public ceremony. John would be asked again to kneel. This time, the galaxy would watch. The day came fast. In the great hall, thousands gathered. Aliens from many worlds, human diplomats, and Zarathi citizens filled the space. Kalira stood on a raised platform. John stood before her. She spoke to the crowd. This ceremony is a symbol of peace. Trust between our peoples. Then she turned to John. Will you kneel before me? John looked at her, then at the crowd. He thought of the war, the pain, the lost friends. But he also thought of Kalira, the girl he saved, the woman who returned. Slowly he bent one knee, not to bow, but to show respect. The crowd gasped. Kalira smiled. She stepped down and placed her hand over his. Together they stood. Behind the scenes, the council was silent. Some accepted this new symbol. Others plotted. Kalira turned to John. You gave them hope today. John nodded. I gave them respect. That's the start. She took his hand. We will face more challenges, he smiled. Together. John Rayner had been on many ships during the war. Big ones, loud ones, ugly metal ones. But nothing felt like this Zarathi capital ship. It was quiet, soft, clean. Every step echoed gently through long halls made of glowing silverstone. The walls shifted color like they were alive. But the strange part wasn't the ship it was. Kalira, the little girl he once rescued, was now a ruler of stars. And somehow, she still remembered everything: his jacket, his face, the food he gave her. He hadn't thought of himself as a hero, but in her eyes, he had become a legend. Still, John didn't feel like one. He now walked beside her in the royal hall, dressed in fine clothes gifted by her servants. The robe felt too smooth, too formal. He missed his old farm boots. Kalira walked ahead, tall and proud. Behind them, her guards followed without sound. Where are we going? John asked. She glanced back to the council chamber. I want them to meet you. John frowned. You sure that's a good idea? She gave a small smile. No, but I'm doing it anyway. The chamber was massive. A round room with a ceiling that showed stars as if there was no roof at all. 12 high-backed chairs stood in a circle, each one holding a different Zarathi. Leader nobles, generals, advisors, all blue-skinned. All watching John carefully as he entered. Whispers passed among them. Kalira walked to the center of the room. John stood beside her, arms crossed, silent. A tall Zarathi general spoke first. His voice was sharp. Empress Kalira, is this the human? Yes, she said calmly. The one from the war? The same. Another council member, a woman with silver markings on her forehead, leaned forward. Why bring him here? He is from the past. A ghost. John didn't speak. He just watched their faces. Kalira raised her hand. He is not a ghost.
Nice.
The reason I am alive, and the reason I believe peace is possible. A third council member laughed. You ask us to believe peace can come from a human? After what they did during the Thorn War? Oh, John stepped forward. I fought in that war. He said, I saw the things we did. The things you did. None of it was right. But there's no peace without truth. The chamber went quiet. Then the general spoke again. And truth is that humans cannot be trusted. They see weakness and strike. Even now, their colonies build weapons again. Kalira's voice became sharp. And we will not become the monsters we fought. If we build a kingdom based on hate, we will fall again. Another voice said, Then what is this human to you? Kalira paused. Then she looked at John. He is a reminder of mercy. And he will stand beside me not as a servant, but as a witness. A bridge between our worlds. Whispers filled the room again. John could see some were angry, others curious. But one man, a short counselor with dark markings, said something that caught everyone's attention. If the human will not kneel, how can he respect our ways? All eyes turned to John. Kalira waited. John looked around the room and spoke slowly. Where I come from, kneeling means something very deep. We kneel at graves. We kneel when we beg. We kneel when we break. But I won't kneel to show peace. The room was silent again. Then he placed his hand on his chest, the same gesture he gave her years ago. I offer respect, not fear. And not. Power Kalira stepped forward and did the same, placing her hand on her own chest. Some counselors nodded slowly. Others remained cold, but no one objected. Later, Kalira and John walked alone through the ship's gardens. Alien trees with glowing leaves reached toward the sky dome above them. Strange flowers opened as they passed. That could have gone worse, John said. She smiled. You spoke with honesty. The council hates honesty. He chuckled. What? Do they prefer control? Silence? Obedience? John sat on a stone bench. You don't seem like someone who obeys easily. She joined him. I had to obey for years. After you left me in that cave, rebels found me. They hid me. Trained me. Then the Empire took me back. They saw the royal mark on my skin, the bloodline of Vey. I was the last of your family. Yes, she said. All others were killed in the war. I was a child, but they called me heir. Priestesses taught me how to speak, to rule, to fight. I wanted to run, but I remembered your face, your voice. You told me to be strong. John looked down. I didn't think you'd even survive. I did. And I rose.
Yes.
But not without scars. A line of old marks ran along her forearm, symbols of pain and ceremony. They made me prove myself, over and over. I won battles. I silenced enemies. But I never forgot kindness. That's why I found you. That's why I found you. I wanted to thank you, and to ask, will you stay? John blinked. Stay. On this ship, with me, she said. Not forever, but long enough to help. The galaxy is changing. Your voice matters. He thought about his farm. The quiet mornings, dirt, the peace. Then he looked at her. You've grown into someone strong, he said. I'm proud of you. Her expression softened. Then stay. He gave a small nod. For a while, that night, in a darker part of the ship, a group of Zarathi counselors met in secret. He refused to kneel. One whispered, and she defended him, said another. If this continues, she will forget who she is. A third older voice spoke. Then we remind her. Either the human kneels, or he disappears. They all nodded, and somewhere deep in the ship, a blade was sharpened. The morning wind blew across the farmland. Birds flew from the trees, startled by the strange sound in the sky. The black alien ship floated just above the ground, humming with quiet power. Its sharp design looked like it was made for war, not peace. John Rayner stood still. His hands were covered in dirt from the field, and sweat dripped from his forehead. But he wasn't tired from work anymore. His heart was beating faster than it had in years. He looked up at the woman standing before him. Her long cloak moved with the wind. The guards around her stood in silence. Every one of them had the same glowing silver eyes, the same sharp armor, same deadly focus. But John didn't care about them. He only looked at her. Kaelira, the same blue-skinned girl he had saved during the Thorn War, now fully grown, tall and regal, with a calm face and commanding voice. But she had changed. Everything about her spoke of power. She wasn't scared anymore. She wasn't weak. She was in control. Still, her eyes held something familiar, a piece of the child he once knew. Yet the first word she said to him was not hello, it was kneel. Took a deep breath and wiped his hands on his pants. Then he stepped forward only a few feet from her. He didn't kneel. I saved you, he said, his voice calm but firm. I didn't do it to become your servant. Kalira's expression didn't change. I remember, she said, every second, every moment. Her voice was smooth, her human language perfect. No accent, no hesitation. You gave me food. You gave me water. You gave me your jacket. And you gave me hope. She paused. But now I give you an order. John shook his head slightly. Why are you here? To see the man who changed my life? To repay a debt? Her tone grew colder, and to test his loyalty. The Zarathi guards shifted slightly. One of them tapped something on his wrist. A small holographic map appeared, showing the area Kalira raised her hand, and the soldier stepped back. I am no longer the little girl you rescued, she said. I am Kalira Vampris of the Zarathi Unity. I command 1/3 of the outer spiral. And I carry the authority of 12 bloodlines. John raised an eyebrow. Good for you. But I'm just a farmer. You were a soldier, a captain. You made a choice, one that risked your life to protect me. I made that choice because it was right, John said. It's not because I expected anything from you, not even thanks. Kalira's voice softened a little. You deserve more than thanks, John Rayner. You deserve a place beside me. He frowned. Is that what this is? A throne room invitation? She stepped closer. I need you, not as a slave, not as a trophy, as a symbol. He stared at her, not understanding. She turned and motioned to her guards. Bring him. 2 guards stepped forward. Before John could argue, they gently but firmly took his arms and led him into the ship. The inside of the ship was nothing like human design. The walls pulsed with blue light. Symbols danced across panels without buttons. It was alive, almost like it breathed. They passed through long halls and reached a wide chamber with glass walls. Outside, the stars shimmered. Inside, floating screens showed maps, cities, and alien languages. Kalira sat on a silver platform. In the middle, she motioned for John to sit opposite her. The guards left the room. Only they remained. I never forgot you, she said, even when the rebels hid me. Even when I was sent to a temple to train. Even when they gave me command of a fleet, and I saw the galaxy bend before me, remembered the human who saved a child and asked for nothing. John nodded. I remember too, but that doesn't explain why you want me to kneel. Kalira looked down, then back up, her eyes serious. Because the galaxy's watching. She waved her hand, and a screen showed images, human colonies. Alien worlds, armies, politics. The peace between your people and mine is thin. One wrong move, and it breaks. Oh. My advisors fear you. They say you're dangerous. You might turn others against me. John laughed softly. I'm just a tired old man who grows vegetables. You're more than that, she said. You're a story, a legend. Among my people, you're known as the Fire Hand, the human who spared the child of the stars. John raised an eyebrow. She smiled slightly. Zarathi history is always dramatic. Then her smile faded. But some on my council believe we should erase that story. It makes me look weak, that you and human have too much power in my memory. John leaned back. So you want me to kneel to prove I don't? She nodded. Kneeling will show unity, not surrender. It's a symbol, a gesture that tells my people you trust me. He shook his head. I don't kneel for power. I kneel For pain, for loss, for graves, Kalira stood. You knelt once before, when you lifted a wounded girl from the dirt. That was power too. John looked at her quiet. And now? He asked. What do you kneel for, Kalira? She didn't answer. Later that night, John sat alone in a guest chamber. The bed was soft, the lights were low, strange alien scent filled the air like metal and flowers. He stared out the glass wall at the stars. Part of him wanted to leave, go back to his field, his quiet life. But part of him was curious. Why had she really returned? Suddenly, the door opened. Kalira stepped in, wearing a simple blue robe. No crown, no armor, just herself. I dismissed the guards, she said. John turned to her. Not afraid I'll hurt you? No, she said. You had your chance. 30 years ago, they both smiled a little. She sat beside him. There's something else, she said. I didn't come only for a symbol. John waited. She reached into her sleeve and pulled out something small. His jacket button. Old, dirty, but cleanly kept. You left this behind, she said. I've kept it ever since. John stared at it. His jacket was long gone, burned in. Some corner of war? That button reminded me of kindness in a cruel world, she said. And now, I want to offer you something in return. Not power, she added quickly. Not riches, just a place. At my side. As a guide. As a voice that tells me the truth even when I don't want to hear it. John looked down. Why me? Because you once gave me life, she said. Now, I want to give you purpose. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I won't kneel. Kalira nodded. I know, but I'll stand beside you if you'll let me. She smiled. A real one this time. I'd like that, John.